Mexico City is in chaos. That's the POV from every news chopper right now. Following the confirmed death of Nemesio, El Mencho Oseguera Cervantes, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, a wave of targeted violence has erupted across at least 6 states. President Claudia Sheinbaum is addressing the nation in an emergency broadcast, claiming federal forces have contained the threat, but the live feeds tell a different story. Smoke, gunfire, and blockades are the new normal. According to a confidential report from the US DEA, obtained by our network, the power vacuum was instant and bloody. This wasn't just a cartel boss getting taken out. This was the kingpin, the guy whose organization the Treasury Department called one of the most powerful and fastest growing in the world. And now, his lieutenants aren't just fighting the army. They're fighting each other. Think of it like a corporate hostile takeover, but with grenade launchers. The official death toll, per Mexico's security ministry, stands at 89 in the last 48 hours. But local journalists on the ground in Guadalajara and Tijuana are reporting numbers much higher. Bodies left in trucks, shootouts in broad daylight near shopping malls. It's a PR nightmare for President Sheinbaum, who just took office promising a new, strategic approach to the drug war. Right now, her strategy looks a lot like gasoline on a fire. Here's where it gets messy. While President Sheinbaum gives her "We are in control" speech, a joint U.S.-Mexico intelligence file, codenamed Project Cerberus, is making the rounds in Washington. A source within the Department of Homeland Security tells us the file doesn't just track cartel movements. It hints at a deeper, more disturbing conspiracy. The suggestion? That certain elements within the previous Mexican administration had what the file calls managed arrangements with factions of the CJNG. Not full-blown collusion, the source stressed, but a dangerous understanding to keep certain regions and trafficking corridors quiet. If true, El Mencho's death didn't just break a cartel. It broke the deal. And the violence isn't random. It's strategic. Attacks on police stations in Michoacán. The burning of vehicles outside army barracks in Colima. This is a cartel demonstrating that the government's authority is an illusion. They're gaslighting an entire nation on live TV. The message is clear: you can kill the man, but you can't kill the system he built. The CJNG is more than a drug cartel, it's a parallel state with its own economy, its own laws, and its own army. In the middle of this, a forensic team raided a luxury safe house in Puerto Vallarta, a known Mencho hideout. They weren't expecting much. Intel suggested it had been cleared out weeks ago. The safe house wasn't empty. According to a federal police report, they found a single, encrypted laptop. And on it, a digital trail leading straight to Mexico City. To an official, high enough to have real power, but ghost-like in the public record. The analysts have a name for him: El Caballero Blanco. The White Knight. This changes everything. The cartel war isn't just about filling a power vacuum. It's a hostile takeover of a government asset. Multiple CJNG factions, each led by one of Mencho's former lieutenants, are now fighting a two-front war, against each other for the throne, and against the state to reclaim their protector. The violence this week? That's their audition tape. Their POV is simple: the strongest successor will be the one who can either control, or destroy, the White Knight. Enter Sofia Mendez. Freelance journalist. Nose for trouble. She's been connecting dots the major networks missed. Her source, a low-level logistics guy inside the Secretary of Public Security, was nervous. He kept talking about special allocations and resource diversion for the World Cup. Specifically, for the security perimeter around the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, where the final match will be held. At first, Sofia thought it was a graft story. Kickbacks on security contracts. Standard stuff. Then she cross-referenced the companies. A shell corporation named Seguridad Total kept popping up. Its listed address is a mailbox in a Panama City law firm. But its payments? They were being authorized through a discretionary fund managed by the same office rumored to be the White Knight's domain. Her source sent her one last file, a procurement manifest, before going silent. They're not just buying fences and cameras, he wrote. They're weaponizing the perimeter. The manifest listed items with military stock numbers, non-lethal area denial systems, advanced signal jammers, crowd control drones. Equipment designed not just to keep people out, but to lock a specific area down. Hard. Sofia's editor killed the story. Too speculative. You're linking a cartel war to World Cup security based on a PDF from a ghost source. Come on. So she took it to Marco Ruiz, an investigative reporter at a rival outlet known for taking risks. They met at a crowded cafe in Condesa. She laid it out. The White Knight. The cartel infighting for his favor. The weird, militarized World Cup security purchases funded through his office. Ruiz saw it instantly. "You think the Knight is using World Cup security as a cover," he said, voice low. "He's not just a fixer. He's building a private army. The cartel isn't trying to kill him. They're trying to hire him. Or steal his new toy. That's the gaslighting on a national scale. The government says the troops are for public safety." Guadalajara, Mexico. The journalist who vanished after exposing a shadowy security plot has escaped captivity, revealing a plan to sabotage the World Cup opening ceremony. A violent, high-stakes confrontation between rogue military units and loyalist forces is now underway inside the Estadio Akron. They weren't cartel. They were pros. They kept talking about the package and delivery to the stadium, Mendoza said, speaking on a burner phone. The package is a coordinated EMP and chemical attack designed to trigger a mass panic during the opening match. The White Knight's men are embedded in the security detail. They're going to flip the switch. The lead triggered a frantic, behind-the-scenes scramble. Loyal elements within the Mexican military, acting on verified intelligence, moved to isolate compromised units assigned to World Cup security. The showdown point. Guadalajara's crown jewel, the 48,000-seat Estadio Akron, set to host its first match in 72 hours. Gunfire erupted at Gate 7 just after 1400 hours local time. Social media footage shows soldiers in Mexican army uniforms exchanging fire with other soldiers. The conspiracy aims to create a catastrophic security failure, discredit the government, and install a military technocratic junta under the guise of restoring order, a high-level source within the Defense Ministry confirmed, speaking on condition of anonymity. The World Cup is the stage. The target is the Mexican state. According to tactical communications intercepted by loyalist forces, the rogue operators have three objectives: seize the Central Security Command post, disable the stadium's power grid with portable EMP devices, and release a non-lethal but highly disorienting aerosol into the ventilation system. The goal isn't mass casualties. It's mass chaos. A global spectacle of failure. President Valeria Sham addressed the nation from the National Palace just minutes ago, her face etched with tension. "We are aware of disturbances at several World Cup venues. Our security forces are engaged in a pre-planned, multi-layered operation to ensure the safety of this global event. I urge calm." Her statement, according to analysts, was a desperate attempt to maintain control of the narrative while special forces moved in. But the real drama was happening off-camera. As President Sham concluded her address, turning from the podium, she was approached by her closest aide and longtime confidant, General Eduardo Rojas. The 60-year-old career officer, the architect of the World Cup security plan, leaned in as if to offer a reassuring word. His hand came to rest on her shoulder. Then his other hand drew a small, sleek pistol from his dress uniform jacket. He pressed it against her ribcage, his mouth close to her ear. As Rojas pressed the pistol into President Sham's side, his whispered words weren't a pledge of loyalty. They were a death sentence. "The new era thanks you for your service, Madam President." But before his finger could tighten on the trigger, 3 shots rang out. Not from his gun. From the shadows of the studio's control room. Rojas crumpled, a look of pure betrayal frozen on his face. Standing behind the smoke glass panel, smoke curling from her sidearm, was Colonel Valeria Cruz, head of the Presidential Guard and a woman Rojas had personally recruited. "The White Knight is checkmated," she said into her comms. "Asset neutralized. The package is secure." This wasn't a last-minute save. It was the final move in a counter-operation, codenamed Mirror Shield, that President Sham and a trusted, secret cell had been running for weeks. The real mastermind? Arturo El Fantasma Vega, leader of the rival Sombra Negra cartel. While Rojas's faction, Los Caballeros, created public terror at the stadiums, Vega's plan was to let the White Knight take the fall for a coup. In the ensuing power vacuum and international condemnation, the Sombra Negra would sweep in, presenting themselves as the only force capable of restoring order, their order. The takedown of Vega was a scene ripped from a Hollywood thriller. As Rojas fell in the studio, simultaneous raids hit 3 luxury compounds in Sinaloa, Monterrey, and Acapulco. Vega, believing he was hours from ultimate victory, was captured in a penthouse overlooking the Bosque de Chapultepec. Footage, verified by authorities, shows him in a silk robe, calmly sipping espresso as commandos breached the door. "You're late," he allegedly said. "I was just watching my show." The cleanup was the bloody part. With their leadership decapitated, remnants of Los Caballeros and Sombra Negra enforcers clashed with military and each other in street-by-street fighting. The death toll from the entire crisis, according to a preliminary report from the National Security Council, has surpassed 180. Among the dead are 34 security personnel and 19 civilians caught in the crossfire. President Shem addressed the nation this morning, her tone weary but firm. The snakes within our garden have been pulled into the light. The threat to our World Cup, and to our sovereignty, is over. The cost has been profound. Our healing begins today. She announced the immediate creation of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate the deep corruption that allowed the plot to fester. But in the brutal calculus of the cartel wars, this isn't an end. It's a reset. The power structures of two major cartels have been shattered, creating a dozen smaller, more volatile factions fighting over the pieces.